AI is revolutionizing the healthcare landscape. AI tools help detect drug interactions, predict adverse events, optimize dosages, and more. In precision medicine, AI uses biomarkers to personalize treatments and manage chronic diseases. AI-powered systems improve medication management, enhance patient communication through chatbots, and integrate predictive data analytics to strengthen patient care. Welcome to TheHealthSite.com. I am Kinkini Gupta, and today we have Terence Graham with us to educate us on the transformative role of AI in pharmacy, the use of predictive analytics, and advancements in precision medicine in healthcare. Terence Graham is the Associate Dean for Graduate Education and Postdoctoral Studies and Chief International Officer at the University of Southern California, which is one of the leading private research institutes in the world. Good afternoon and welcome to the Health Site. Mr.
Thank you.
Terence Graham, you are
Yes.
from the University of Southern California, and today we are here to talk about how AI is increasingly being applied in the field of pharmacy, offering a very wide range of opportunities and to enhance efficiency in patient care, support pharmaceutical research. So I have a couple of questions lined up related to AI and pharmacy. So the first one being, could you talk a little bit about how AI is transforming the drug recovery process?
I'm going to talk a little bit about drug development and discovery, and these are some areas where I work closely with our researchers, with our faculty members who are researching these areas, as well as our PhD students and master students who work in the laboratories. And what we see is an increasing use of computational tools to really amplify the impact of the research that our my colleagues are doing in the laboratories, and there are different ways that it's done. Certainly, one of the ways is through using tools that allow them to simulate, do simulations that allow them to zero in on which molecules are the most promising for a particular therapeutic or drug. So there's quite a bit of work being done in that area that helps them really pinpoint where they should focus their efforts in the laboratory. So it's really increasing efficiency in that respect and allowing them to focus on what's most valuable and focus their time. Another area we see a significant area of growth in analyzing large data sets. So I think really important for when you're looking at a lot of these issues in developing drugs and therapies is increasingly looking at genomics, looking at proteomics, we call them the omics, right? And so collecting large data sets from national health systems or from drug trials, the evidence presented through drug trials, and using and analyzing, going through that data, using computational methods and programming tools to identify potential areas of inquiry that are promising, and so that analysis of large data is very important. It's also, as we see, the rise really of precision medicine, and so each patient, each individual is different, right? So they have a different genome, they have different disposition or predisposition for certain conditions, diseases, but also how they will respond to treatments. It's true of the proteome also, and so looking at the makeup of the proteome. So understanding the patient down to that individual level is allowing us to really pinpoint therapies and drugs as they're developed and think through those methods. So those are a few areas within drug discovery, and we see those areas kind of really converging in the work that we're doing at USC Man. We do have a couple of our laboratory groups working primarily on the computational side, and so we call those dry labs, right? So when you think of laboratory research, you think of pipettes and chemicals and microscopes and things. So a lot of our work is being done in those traditional wet labs, but there's a lot of collaboration between the dry labs and wet labs, and we see that increasingly with computational biology, the sort of the quantitative aspects of this research, that those are coming together to make that research more powerful.
Right. So you spoke of precision medicine. Could you explain how genetic data can contribute to precision medicine?
Well, I think looking at genetic data, you get a better understanding of like I said, sort of a patient's predisposition to certain conditions or diseases, and so then you can also look at a patient's predisposition to responding positively or negatively to treatment, so that you can pinpoint specifically what would be the best treatment for that particular individual or group of individuals. And so pharmacogenomics is a very important aspect of what we're doing now, and learning from large data sets is helping to make those treatments more precise.
Right. So this is especially for our audience, for them to understand what the difference is between precision medicine and traditional medicine. Could you elaborate on it just for?
Well, I think what you're calling traditional medicine, so sort of the way we've approached things when we didn't have the level of information that we have about patients now. I think there were the therapies, the drugs that were being developed and given to patients were more of a broad-based approach, and so the same drugs were being given to a fairly broad demographic of patients who had a particular condition. So, for example, if you're talking about chemotherapy drugs, for example, for cancer, that using that same formula, the same drugs or same therapies for patients based on what their disease, but what their cancer is. But now with this additional information, we know not just what the cancer is, but we know what the patient's genomic makeup is, and so how to calibrate the dosages or even the combinations of medicines that are given to that patient so that they are more effective, and that it improves efficacy, improves safety, make sure that there are not sort of negative drug interactions, and so it's really lending to a much more targeted approach to treating patients.
Can precision medicine be used to personalize cancer treatment?
Yes. Yeah, that is certainly one of the uses of it.
Right. Okay. So I want to circle back to AI for a bit. How does AI assist pharmacists in clinical decision making?
So that's a great question, and it's a really interesting area of inquiry, and we're certainly doing some work in this area. AI again can improve the efficiency of practicing pharmacists who have a heavy workload and are working through a lot of different data and requests and demands, and so AI can be used to do some of the decision, I guess, pre-decision making, and then ultimately the pharmacist can do the final verification and decision before it reaches a patient. One of the ways that we're exploring AI, and one of our PhD students is doing this right now, is looking at using different AI or even virtual reality tools for training pharmacists, for preparing pharmacists to be more effective in their interactions with patients, for example. And so you can, and there's been work done in social work and counseling, and now we're looking at how we can use that effectively for training pharmacists. And so before a pharmacist is ready to interact with patients, we are training that pharmacist sort of in what that interaction might look like, what sort of questions you need to ask, what sort of clues that you need to listen for when you're interacting with the patient about how their medications, how they're adhering to their medication, or how they're responding to their medication, and that'll help in those clinical, those face-to-face interactions once the pharmacist is going into the hospital or the clinic, and interacting with live patients. And so it's really kind of improving the care that we can provide. So it's a really excellent tool, really promising tool for that. And so there's a lot of work being done in developing that more effectively. AI is used to as a reference, and so I mean this is a fairly straightforward use of the AI. Is that pharmacists know a lot of drugs and know about a lot of those drugs, but they can also double check and by just kind of running AI queries about a specific drug and drug interactions, and that can be of course that still needs to be verified by a pharmacist, but that can also kind of narrow that decision making window. It frees up the attention and time that a pharmacist can give to making those decisions and interacting with the patients and counseling the patients.
Artificial intelligence and precision medicine. Could you explain the connection and the role between the two?
The precision medicine, I do see that primarily on the development of what are the therapies, what are the treatments, but the AI is certainly involved in that process. But so on the one side, it's that research, that development side. On the other side, the training and of the pharmacist to use the therapies and the drugs. And so it's coming at it from two different angles, so that the pharmacist is better prepared and is able to give the time and attention to a specific individual patient, but also has knowledge of the pharmacogenomics, the genomic profile of a patient, and how the drugs are calibrated to that individual based on their profile. So those are coming from different angles. I think that ultimately provides a much better service to patients and much more promising outcomes.
Okay, so I'm just gonna ask you the last question. Could you elaborate a bit on the future of AI in pharmacy from here on out?
Oh, that's the big question, isn't it? Tell me the future. We'll see. I mean, it's exciting. I think it's something that's to be embraced. I really do think it can, in the ways that I've mentioned, certainly make our research, our drug discovery and development processes more efficient, and that will allow us to develop more drugs and better drugs and therapies, devices as well, and delivery mechanisms. And so I think it's as a tool in the hands of excellent researchers and scientists, it can really amplify the good work that they're doing and the productivity of those scientists and researchers. And then for the clinical pharmacists on the clinical side, I do think, certainly we see it in the United States, and I imagine there are similar issues in India of workload and just having so many patient cases to be dealing with in a single day, that helping to kind of focus the clinician's attention on the area where we need the human being to be involved in thinking about using their critical thinking to double check and to make sure that things are accurate and correct for that patient, but then interacting with that patient and adding that human side to that interaction, so that the patients are more receptive to the therapies and drugs being proposed, and so that makes them more inclined to adhere to their medications, to stick with the plan, and ultimately have better health outcomes.
AI definitely enhances medicine and pharmacy and patient care, but do you predict any challenges in the future as well in this field?
Well, I think it's really important, and I emphasize this in my previous answers, that it's a tool, it's an instrument in the hands of a qualified scientist or clinician or pharmacist, in the development and discovery of new drugs and therapies, is a tool in the hand that should be in the hands of a scientist, of an expert, and likewise in a clinical setting, it is a tool to improve the work. The danger, looking ahead to the future, is an over reliance on on the tool or on AI, or trying to use AI to sort of replace the scientist or the clinician, when that's something I think is unwise. It's vital that we recognize the role that the scientist, the pharmacist, has to play in ensuring that the tool of the AI is being used to the benefit of patients in an ethical way and in a way to really improve health outcomes. I think the danger is that if certainly in the United States, we're concerned with our system about the where considerations of private sector profit come into the healthcare conversation to the detriment of patients, and that's something we want to make sure we avoid. And so there's going to be that tension, or pushing to use more and more AI for efficiency and for profit, and we need to make sure that we ensure that human experts, the scientists, the pharmacists, are the ones that are at the forefront and using those tools and using them ethically.
Thank you so much, Mr. Graham, for joining us. And this was
My
a really
pleasure.
great discussion. Yeah.
Thank you for your questions and for your interest. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you so much.